Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Dear colleagues in this blessed industry, I greet you all with the greeting word of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May peace and blessings be upon all of you. Musawamah, a technical solution for managing default and early termination in TMA. A step-by-step clarification will be the subject of our discussion. The Tahawwud Hedging Master Agreement covers key hedging transactions, namely Islamic profit rate swaps, Islamic cross-currency swaps, and Islamic foreign exchange forwards IFX. These transactions are structured on a future mutual wa'ad basis, known as DFTs, designated future transactions, to help manage currency market instability. So as long as the transaction, the DFTs, runs smoothly, without early termination, without default, both parties remain committed to exchanges according to the agreed wa'ad plan, the promise schedule. The critical question is what happens if this wa'ad arrangement, if this promise arrangement is suddenly broken due to a party's default or an early termination event happen. My dear colleagues, the first thing that will happen is that all future wa'ad, promises, DFTs for outstanding transactions will stop immediately, will cease immediately. Secondly, the non-defaulting party will seek a market replacement to cover its exposures. And this, as we all know, comes at a cost, means will cost money. We all know this. So to resolve this issue, both legally and to be in line with Sharia rules and principles, the Musawamah mechanism steps in as a decisive solution to ensure that the entire termination process remains sound, providing absolute legal and Sharia certainty for financial institutions. So let's see how Musawamah, definitely and clearly not Murabaha, solves this problem. So please follow me step by step in following 5 clear steps. Be with me. Step 1, the DFT structure. For example, 2 Islamic financial institutions, let's say A and B, enter into a long-term hedging deal using wa'ad, using promise. This is what we call DFTs. This DFT structure allows them to manage profit rate risk in a Sharia compliant way. In what? In a Sharia compliant manner. Step 2, default or early termination. Suppose Bank A defaulted or the transaction ends early. What will happen then? They agree to enter into series of transactions through wa'ad, let's say for 5 years. After the first year completed, the second year completed, in the third year, Bank A defaulted or the transaction ends early, what will happen then? Under the TMA, to ensure a fair, accurate, and transparent process, at least 4 independent leading dealers will be appointed to provide replacement quotations. You remember we said when early termination happened, all future outstanding transaction will be ceased immediately, and we mentioned that non-defaulting party has to seek a market replacement to cover its exposure, and these will cost money. So when that happened, at least 4 independent leading dealers will be appointed to provide replacement quotations. These quotes calculate the exact replacement cost of the broken wa'ad, of the broken promise. For example, they determine that Bank A, the defaulting parties, owes Bank B, non-defaulting party, $100,000 as actual replacement cost. Here comes the step 3, Sharia perspective. Can Bank A, the defaulting party, simply pay that $100,000 in cash? The answer is no, because pure cash settlement of market damages is not allowed in Sharia, in order to avoid money for money speculation similar to interest, similar to riba. Instead, a real asset-backed trade transaction must be used. This is where Musawamah comes in. Step 4, the Musawamah solution. Since pure cash settlement cannot be paid, we have to find solution, and this is where the Musawamah solution comes in. My dear colleagues, before we go into the details and numbers, let us understand what Musawamah actually means. Simply, Musawamah is a negotiated sale of an item where the price is agreed upon mutually between the seller and the buyer, without the seller revealing the original cost of the item, of the goods, of the asset. Of course, this differs from Murabaha, where the original cost and profit margin must be clearly disclosed. I think we understood what the Musawamah is about. Remember, negotiated sale. This is important. This is the key. And remember also, where or without the seller revealing the original cost of the goods, of the assets. Now let us look at how this Musawamah, negotiated sale, solve this problem. How this negotiated sale, Musawamah, solves this problem, since we cannot pay cash. Bank A, the defaulting party, follow me carefully, will buy in the market, let's say $400,000 worth of a real tangible Sharia compliant asset. He will then sell that asset to Bank B, non-defaulting party, for $300,000 through what? I ask you to remember negotiated price. So he will sell that asset to Bank B for $300,000 through negotiated Musawamah price. That's why we need Musawamah here, not Murabaha. So look at this. By selling a $400,000 asset for $300,000, Bank A, the defaulting party, has legally embedded that $100,000 deficit directly into a real trade Sharia compliant transactions. Means the $100,000 difference represent what? The settlement, the replacement settlement, which he cannot pay in cash, but now it is embedded in a real trade, real transaction. Step 5, obligation settlement. Bank B, non-defaulting party, will resell the same asset in the market for $400,000. Actually, this is the actual price of the asset, $400,000. With this, my dear colleagues, Bank B, non-defaulting party, recovers its full actual replacement cost, and Bank A clears its obligation, and that is $100,000 he's supposed to pay Bank B, non-defaulting party, as replacement cost through a real transaction, trade transaction. And the closeout netting is achieved through actual asset trading. My colleagues, this is Musawamah closeout netting in a simple 5 steps explanation. So let me summarize these 5 steps on how Musawamah, not Murabaha, solves the problem of early termination. When a promise, when a wa'ad-based hedging transaction breaks, future promises will stop immediately. The non-defaulting party then will have to have replacements in order to deal with his exposures. Means he will have to face replacement cost. Let's see, for example, $100,000. But Sharia, as we explained, does not allow pure cash settlement of such damages in order to avoid riba or interest-like speculation. Instead, the Tahawwud Master Agreement uses Musawamah, a negotiated sale, where Bank A buys a $400,000. Bank A here is the defaulting party, buys a $400,000 asset and sell it to Bank B, non-defaulting party, for $300,000. The $100,000 difference is embedded in the, as we mentioned, a trade itself. Bank B then resell the asset for $400,000, recovering its actual cost, while Bank A clears its obligation. This way, close-out netting is achieved through real Sharia-compliant asset trading, ensuring both legal and Sharia certainty. So, my dear colleagues, Musawamah is used as a settlement tool in order to avoid paying damages directly in cash, which is not acceptable in Sharia. Unlike conventional transaction, pure cash settlement is allowed. So rather, the parties should agree to settle the obligation, as we mentioned, through a valid, tangible Sharia-compliant trade contract. I hope the 5 steps is clear with summarization. My dear colleagues, on 11 October 2023, the IFM Sharia Board, comprising of renowned, knowledgeable, and high experience of the contemporary mode of transactions, reaffirm its approval of the close-out netting Musawamah mechanism in the TMA, first resolved in March 2010. After a thorough review, the board confirmed no amendments were needed. They emphasized that these transactions should not be entered into for purposes of speculation, means actual settlements of assets and payments must take place. And if wa'ad is broken, any compensation must be on actual damages. Therefore, for more information, please refer to Section 6 of the TMA, which sets out how early termination is effected following an event of default or termination event under Section 5. And for specific information and operational details, see Section 6, C2, Section E, and Section 6 FV. Let me conclude. My dear colleagues, the confusion regarding Musawamah from certain quarters in the industry comes from two main factors. Number one, they mix objective with structure. In the hedging transaction, the objective is risk management, be it conventional or Islamic. But in Sharia, the structure is fundamental and crucial. It's fundamental and crucial. Means focusing on how to reach the same objective in a Sharia compliant manner or compliant way. So by using a real asset trade, a forbidden cash payment is turned into an allowed goods sale, asset sale. I hope this is clear. So they mix objective with the structure without looking or focusing on how to reach the same objective, which is risk management against exposures in a Sharia compliant way. Number two, they fail to differentiate between a simple one-time murabaha financing transactions, such as buying car or house, etc., and a complex hedging framework that utilizes multiple deferred future transactions, known as DFTs, to manage ongoing market exposure. Finally, my dear brothers, my dear colleagues, my dear sisters, hedging transactions remain essential for Islamic financial institutions to manage genuine risks and stay integrated, connected with international and cross-border financial markets. They cannot isolate themselves from the rapid, innovative developments taking place across the global financial sector. Listen to this. While the fundamental red lines of Sharia are fixed, no one among us can cross them. They are known to all of us. Contemporary Islamic financial structures are built on ijtihad. They are built on ijtihad. Means the continuous intellectual effort and independent reasoning of qualified scholars to solve contemporary or modern financial challenges for the Ummah. There's a well-known Sharia principle which says one ijtihad cannot unify another. One ijtihad cannot nullify another. This is to ensure continuity, consistency, and structural stability across the industry. I hope it's clear. Thank you very much. هذا وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.